So in my last two videos, I've talked about the dangers of the false narratives that Donald Trump and his MAGA surrogates are spreading. I looked at that from the perspective of inciting lawlessness among Donald Trump's foot soldiers. Well, there is also another problem, a huge problem with politicizing legal systems. So today I want to briefly talk about the slippery slope of politicizing legal systems. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe and let's get started. So what happened with Donald Trump in New York in a very basic way is that probable cause was found upon investigation that led to the DA issuing an indictment after being recommended that there be an indictment by the grand jury, that too being grand jury of regular Americans. Then the prosecutor and the defense had their chance. Donald Trump had his say in court. He had the chance to testify, but he didn't testify. And what happened was 12 jurors unanimously found Donald Trump guilty of all 34 counts, felony counts of falsifying business records with the intention of influencing the outcome of the 2016 election. Now, Donald Trump, from the moment that he came out, started politicizing it. I looked at it initially from the perspective of the danger of the false narratives and how those are triggers for Donald Trump's fans to carry out random acts of violence against the people who are involved in the case, including the judge, court officers, witnesses, jurors, and worst, those families. Well, the other side of this politicization is how MAGA media and how elected leaders of the GOP and the of MAGA persuasion are politicizing the legal outcome. They're building a false narrative, but they're also subverting the rule of law and undermining the American justice system. By doing that, they are breaking down, they are hitting at attacking this jury system that has prevailed in the United States for over 230 years. The jury system, many of our founding fathers and many courts since have found to be the closest thing to justice that human society has been able to find. And even the highest court, the Supreme Court of the United States, does not fact find on the jury's behalf unless there has been massive constitutional violations in jury instructions, in how the judges interpreted the law, how the jury instructions were given. If any of those rights were violated, constitutional rights, the due process rights were violated, only then does the Supreme Court have jurisdiction to hear the case. But Donald Trump has come out recently asking the Supreme Court to intervene in the New York case, which is a state case that will go up through the state appellate process and ultimately reach the highest court in New York. And only if there's a constitutional question over which the federal Supreme Court has jurisdiction can the Supreme Court take the case. The Supreme Court can't intervene. So what I'm saying now is Donald Trump and his allies, who are elected leaders, by the way, who are casting doubt on the legal system, on how the due process system works, all the way from initiating an investigation to the grand jury, to the indictment, to the pretrial discovery process, to the trial where defense and prosecution get ample opportunity to present their case and have their day in court, and then the court and the case goes to the jury, The jury then deliberates. It's a unanimous verdict in this case. And after that, Donald Trump has the opportunity to appeal. That is exactly, I'm paraphrasing, but that is what President Joe Biden said when asked about the case. And that is exactly what any political leader should be saying when asked about the case. Not talking about how the jury is rigged, because the defense had as much to say in picking that jury as the prosecution did. And it was a jury of Donald Trump's peers, because Donald Trump was born and raised and grew up in New York until very recently when he changed his residence to Florida. It was after his presidency that Donald Trump changed his residency to Florida, or during. But before that, he was a resident and a citizen of New York. And the crimes committed here were committed in New York. So, by left-wing media and center media is reporting it as it is, but far-right media is, including Fox, is bringing in people who are undermining the rule of law and how the justice system works. They are casting doubt on the jury process without a shred of evidence that there was any type of political maneuvering or any type of jury tampering or any type of bias in the jury. That attacks the foundations of our legal system. It breaks down our faith in that our juries are fair. When for 230 years, that is exactly what has happened. That our jury process, the evidentiary process in how a trial is conducted, the legal standards that are applied to be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, it is a high standard that is incredibly difficult to overcome. And in this case, defense simply wasn't able to break down prosecution's case. Not only did defense not have their own defense for the charges alleged, they couldn't even pierce the reasonable doubt veil to cast doubt on even one of those 12 jurors, one among whom only sourced their information from Truth Social, mind you. We saw what, during the jury selection process, what media sources these 12 jurors consumed. And even the one that only consumed Truth Social and got all their news from Truth Social still voted to find Donald Trump guilty. So it is based on the evidence, it is based on the facts provided, it's based on Donald Trump's own words that were taped by Michael Cohen. They're evidenced by a trail of documents that were found and put into evidence in this case. And political leaders, including Mitch McConnell, shame on him, and Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, have cast doubt on the legal process, absent any proof. That is attacking the American legal system, and that is attacking a bedrock of our democracy. Our country and our systems and our society cannot sustain this, cannot overcome once there is a doubt decidedly instilled in the American people that the jury system is unfair, when there's nothing to show that it is. If you committed the crimes and if your lawyers weren't able to convince the prosecution, the jury, that there was reasonable doubt that your client committed these crimes, then your client is found guilty. You don't go out on a PR tour like Mr. Blanche has done, denigrating the jury and talking about this is America and therefore, no, the American judicial system and the legal system worked. And your job is to now go and appeal the case, not run a PR campaign and go on TV and lie about the jury system absent any proof of it. If you have proof of any type of politicization, if you have proof of any type of corruption by the judge, if you have proof of any corruption that undermines constitutional protections of the defendant, Donald Trump in this case, bring it up on appeal, and it will be addressed on appeal. Short of that, don't talk about it in public and corrupt what the judicial system and the legal system has delivered to the American people, which is a public trial and a public verdict. Thank you so much for listening to me today. I went on for quite some time, but it is important for us to understand the different ways in which Donald Trump and his allies' lies impact our society. And it should anger every single American that these people are casting doubt on our legal system, absent any evidence that there was corruption. So thank you so much. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.